This is for all my friends and family who have ever felt like they've hit a wall and they're just trying to get back to their old, energetic, enthusiastic self. A lot of people call that state of being depression, which used to be a great word for it until it got medicalized and stigmatized and turned into this strange experience that was so alien to us when it's totally normal for all of us to feel those lows. So that's the reason why I'm making this video. It's especially for anybody who's hit that wall recently and they're trying to find their way out right now. The first step is to acknowledge that we have these highs and lows, right? Like, it's not some crazy disease like the DSM-5 and psychiatry has got everybody believing, where there's a chemical imbalance in your brain. Everybody has, a million researchers and everything have concluded that the chemical imbalance thing was a myth. It didn't have any substantial evidence to back up the claims, and it's just hit popular culture and pop psychology and just spread like a disease through the entire population, where we all believe that that's what it is. But what we actually need to understand is that we have these lows, and the way out of it isn't to identify with the depression as if it's like who you are now, because that's where you will get stuck and you will not get out of it. And then it's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like, I have depression, this is who I am, I need intervention, I need therapy, I need medication, whatever it is that you go and seek to resolve that issue, when really it's like you've kind of created that by believing that you are stuck. So first step is to acknowledge that everybody has these highs and lows. You're in the low right now. So how do you get out of it? I noticed that this might trigger people, but a lot of my friends and family, even myself in the past, so I'm not just judging others, like I'm going to acknowledge that this has happened with myself as well, where I've been in that low and I've felt like a bit of a victim, and I'm not acknowledging that I'm not really doing anything. Like a lot of people who feel like they're stuck and they've hit that wall, they've stopped doing anything meaningful. And, they're just playing video games, drinking alcohol, taking drugs, partying, like just trying to escape from themselves really, instead of actually sitting with themselves for 5 minutes and thinking like, what is it that I actually want to be doing that I'm not doing? Because that's what's making me depressed. Like, I know I've got potential, I know I can do all these incredible things, and I haven't taken a step towards any of the things that I find meaningful for months. Like, that's when you're really deep in it. That's when you're like, got to do something about it, because that's when it starts to become like dangerous. Like, you can start to have suicidal thoughts and all of these kinds of things. So, people don't know how to deal with this. Like, and a big part of it, if we're honest with ourselves, is we don't really want to deal with it. Like, we just want it to go away. Like, laziness and depression kind of go together, because as you get more depressed, your energy levels go down, you feel more lethargic, you become more lazy, and as you become more lazy, you do less things like exercise and eat healthy to replenish your energy levels, and you do more things that are detrimental, like alcohol and drugs and all these, like masturbation and porn addiction is the new like crazy thing, because now we've got these mobile devices that can access anything at the click of a button, and then we can just consume all of this trash and like garbage in, garbage out. If you haven't heard that phrase before, I think it was originally a programming phase. So if you put garbage programming into a computer, you get garbage results. But it's the same for like food. Like, you eat lots of McDonald's, you're gonna be really unwell. That was just a giant ibis poo that fell out of the tree there. That could be a representation of how you're feeling right now. You're just a giant ibis poo falling into a swampy lake. So it's always good to find a moment to just laugh at the absurdity of everything, isn't it? I mean, a lot of you are on the right track. Like, a lot of people who feel like they're very lost are actually on the right track, because the step one is to realize that life is inherently meaningless, like that nihilistic kind of thing. That's actually step one to finding meaning, because you've got to acknowledge, like, okay, none of this actually means anything. All of the models and ideas and belief systems, everything that I've ever grown up with and been taught Like essentially you could strip it all away and you could replace it with something else, and it doesn't, like, you still live, like it's still life. Like nobody actually has the answers to anything because there are no answers to anything. Like there's fundamental principles that we can live by, there's cultural beliefs that we can create stuff that makes sense to us and then live by that. But like life is inherently meaningless, and that's something that people just get stuck on. Like, oh, okay, so there's like, if everything's meaningless, why do anything? But if that's step one, like if you can just be comfortable with that, you can acknowledge that and be okay with that. Step two is create some dreams and plans and goals anyway, even though they're meaningless. And then step three is like, live your life as if those things are the most meaningful thing in the world, because it doesn't matter that it's not actually like universally meaningful to everybody who exists. It only matters, it's your reality, you're creating it, and that's the beauty of it. That's why we have that fundamental level of meaninglessness, so that you can decide what you want your life to be all about, what you want reality to be all about, or who you want to be. Like it's so malleable and interchangeable and infinite that, like, that's the beauty of it. That's actually when you become free, when you start to look at it through that lens. So if you are feeling very lost and you're feeling very stuck and you've hit that wall and you're in that depression, that's actually, like, the way I think of it, it's like a reset. Like, okay, so you've shed all of the old stuff. Like whoever you thought you were isn't working, and you've kind of like, you're just getting rid of it all. You're like, nah, nothing makes me happy anymore. I don't like it. I don't want it. These relationships are crap. These friendships are crap. My career is crap. My habits and my behaviors are crap. Like I just don't like any of this stuff. So you're shedding it all away. So if you're in the low, that's sort of what you've been doing. You've just gone, nah. But now the next step that's really important is, okay, let's try on a whole bunch of new things, and that's when you're going to start to feel a lot better. And I said we let go of all the things that are crap, but in that time, as you're letting all these things go, like I don't want this, I don't want that, if you don't fill it with positive things, you're just going to fill it with negative things, like more Netflix, more video games, more pornography, more drugs and alcohol, more relationships that are actually all about complaining and feeling stuck and being a victim, when you could just be totally flipping that on its head. Like, you don't go out partying for like 2 weekends and you could afford a session. Like you could come and have like a holographic kinetic session, or you could go get some colonics done and clear out all the toxins from your body. Like, it's all choices. It's all, back to the programming kind of metaphor. It's ones and zeros. Are you going to do something that's good for you or something that's bad for you? And that's another thing that really helps with depression as well, is simplifying things down for yourself. Like, don't get into that cloudy headspace where everything's like, oh, I don't know what to do. Like, that's good, that's bad. Okay, so just choosing to do what is good and choosing not to do what is bad. Like, let's simplify it right down to that, and try to eliminate one bad choice this week and introduce one good choice this week. Because like I said, you don't want to just eliminate stuff, because then the automatic response is going to be whatever's easiest, because we're energy efficient machines. Like, we look for the easiest path if we're left to our autonomous modes. Like, you need to consciously choose better stuff for yourself. Very important, very, very important. So why did I even come up with this today? I've just been exposed to and witnessing a lot of people that are in this self-deception part of the depression, where they're like kind of looking for a way out, but they don't want to be the way out. They want to get out of the cage, but they don't realize that they're the key. So I thought, if I just talk about like my own experience and what I've observed, maybe somebody will have like their little epiphany that like breaks them free from that cage, or makes them realize that they are their own key to free themselves. I could say heaps more about it, but what I want to encourage people to do is, any thoughts that you've had while you're watching this video, anything that's really jumped out at you, any life lessons that have just whether it was the actual words that I said or just thoughts that popped into your head while you were listening, I want you to leave it in the comments down below, and don't assume that everybody else is getting the same message as you, because I think you'll find that if everybody leaves their comments below, you'll see how different each person's reality actually is. And then that will also be another little unlock, because you'll realize maybe the way that you're viewing reality is quite, personalized. And then you're like, okay, so if our realities can be so personalized, that means that we can change them quite a bit. If one person can see it like this and one person can see it like this, like somebody might have thoughts about this, what I'm saying, that totally make no sense to you the first 5 times that you read it, and then you like really think about it and you go, oh wow, like that's where that person's at, and that's a really helpful thing to start to realize. Just come back to the idea that reality and your life and who you are is more malleable, and you are not like depression. You might feel really low and lethargic and lost all of your enthusiasm, your spark, your magic, but it's not who you are. It's just it's an experience. So if we can have experiences and then we can let them go and have a new experience, that's much more empowering to me than identifying with something and being like, this is who I am now, and I need to learn to live with this and cope with this. And I know that like a lot of people will feel quite challenged by that, and if you do feel like this is an attack on you, I can tell you that in my reality, it's absolutely not. This is like, I'm just trying to pry open people's minds so that they can liberate themselves. If you did get anything out of this video, please click the like button for me. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're just posting video diaries of my own thoughts and feelings in the present moment. It's not really intended to be advice or guidance. It's just, a person living their life to the best of their ability, and hopefully encouraging and inspiring others to accept and move through life as it is. Like, it doesn't need to be this big crazy thing. You can just be a regular person and love it. So yeah, pass this on to anybody else who may benefit.